reducing the greenhouse gases produced by the global shipping industry. Pacific Island states are among those demanding deep cuts, and they've objected to a 50% reduction proposal by 2050. Panama, Brazil and other countries with big fleets of ships say their economies could be damaged if action is too hasty. Well, joining me now is Jonathan Roberts from the UK Chamber of Shipping. And let's just talk about the size of the problem, because shipping globally produces more emissions than a country like Germany.
Well, it's about 2% of global emissions. But you've got to remember that the shipping industry powers the world economy. About 90% of international trade is moved on ships. So I think people understand the link between trade and prosperity, but quite rightly they demand that we do it in a fair, in a responsible and in an environmentally friendly way.
Well, how responsible are you being? What are you doing to change things?
Well, at the minute what we're calling for is at very least a 50% reduction in carbon emissions from shipping. That will be by 2050. But crucially, any agreement that takes place at the International Maritime Organization this week needs to be seen as a stepping stone towards full decarbonisation in the long term.
This isn't a new problem. There are those saying that you are dragging your feet.
The shipping industry takes this extremely seriously. Look at what's going on at the moment already. We've already got battery-powered ferries operating in Scotland and elsewhere in the world. We've got huge investment going into things like hydrodynamics and improving ship designs and engine designs. But look, we recognise we've got to go further, we've got to go faster. Climate change is real, we've got a responsibility to play our part in sorting it out, and that's why we're campaigning so heavily at the IMO this week.
Battery-powered ferries is one thing, but a battery-powered cargo tanker travelling the world, is that ever feasible, do you think?
Scaling it up is going to be the difficulty. There's a number of things that the shipping industry can do to have a sort of marginal gain effect, lots of little things. But really, we've got to move towards having completely carbon-free fuel in the long term to get anything like certainly the 50% target and certainly the 100% target. That's going to mean batteries, but it's going to mean huge investment in the research and development.
Well, the clock is ticking. Is the technology in sight? Is there something that you're aiming for in terms of a magic battery that will power a tanker going around, well, across the Atlantic, across the Pacific, wherever?
Well, as you probably know, you look in the UK government put £250 million last year into battery research and development, but that was targeted almost exclusively at the automotive sector. We need to now see the kind of collaboration between government and other industries applied into the shipping industry. That needs to happen in the UK, but remember, this is a global industry and it's got to be done at a global level.
Call me old-fashioned, what about trying sails? As in S-A-I-L.
Well, look, that would be lovely and from a romantic point of view, but the global economy largely works on a just-in-time basis. We've got tens and tens of thousands of ships operating on the sea at any given time. They're all taking stuff from A to B, and we see the knock-on impact of that in the supply chain, on roads and rails, and ultimately getting things to consumers. You start fundamentally changing how the industry works, you're going to have some difficulties there. So I think let's leave the romance of maritime to one side. Let's get on with improving the real hard business of shipping.
All right, well, let's do that. So when will the first battery-powered cargo vessel go any distance, do you reckon?
Well, let's have those conversations with the government. Let's encourage them to start putting the kind of money into shipping technology that they have in automotive technology. Let's see what happens with the IMO this week. We hope we'll have a really ambitious and robust deal that will then spur on the kind of innovation that we need to meet what will be robust targets.
Jonathan, it's good of you to come and talk about it. Jonathan Roberts, thank you very much. Thanks.